Hello and welcome back to another video for Final Fantasy XIV with me, Meoni. This time around we're going to be looking at two housing exteriors, basically walls. These are the new forge walls that we're looking at in today's video. I only actually have access to our FC's large plot and my own small plot to actually show off both the small and the large versions of the forge walls. I don't have access to a medium, so unfortunately that will not be in this video. But of course you can kind of extrapolate what that would look like if you kind of bridge the gap between, you know, the large and the small and sort of imagine what it would be in between. These are the new Hot Topic items then added in patch 5.5 for exteriors. And yeah, they're pretty easily accessible if you have a a free company. It is a workshop project to actually make these, so they're not obtainable for crafting externally from that. You actually need a free company to craft these in a workshop. You can of course purchase them in the market board, which is what I did today. The small will cost, well, it cost me about 1.2 million gil, and the large was about 4 million gil on Cerberus on the Chaos Data Center. Obviously, prices may vary depending on what data center you're on, and of course what servers you have access to, but I would say definitely shop around unless you're crafting these yourself with your free company, in which case it's a good opportunity for your free company to make some decent gil on the side. I can guarantee that. So like I say, we have the small and we have the large to look at. These of course are recolorable. As you can see on our large, we currently have the Shirogane Castle walls, and over there's my small plot, which is currently using the florist sort of cabin design. I think it's called the Florist Cottage or something like that. So let's start with the small then, give you an idea of what the small version of this looks like, and then we'll move on to the large afterwards. So expect a lot of clipping then, because obviously where things are placed currently, they'll be completely out of alignment when I change this. But I quite like the small one, the Florist. The thing I do have as a complaint though is that the size of the door and the windows, both on the interior and exterior, are kind of like a mammoth size person would live there for some reason. So we go into the exterior settings and we just simply swap these out. I believe I get to keep the plans if I do swap them out, but yeah, simply drag and drop, I believe, isn't it? We'll keep them. There we go. So if you want to actually try these out yourself, perhaps you want to try them before you actually bind them, just to give you a brief look, you can do that. As long as you press the cancel button, it will put that item back in your inventory, essentially. But even if you swap them, you get to keep a bound version of the walls you just replaced. So if we press yes here on the proceed button, essentially what will happen when we press confirm is that those previous walls will be put back into our inventory. There's a small florist one. So this then is the forge one. As you can see, as I predicted, the clipping is going to happen. Like we have a floating aetherite and some other items that are kind of glitching out a bit. But this is the nature of it. Personally, I quite like the small forge walls. I think they're quite cute. They have this sort of platform thing going on with lots of forgery bits and stuff. As you can see, we've got the floating aetherite crystal that was on the wall previously, but let's have a look around this, get nice and close up and personal. Remember, all of the items actually part of this don't take up housing slots, which is one of the big issues. For a small plot you get 20 allocations, I think total, of outdoors items you can place down. As you can see there's the chimney, there's all the windows, kind of like a Tudor house design. If we zoom in here, apart from the glitched fountain that's glitching in here, let's move away the glitched fountain because you can't really see what's happening here. Dear, there we go. Now you can see that it's actually a forge, and we have some fiery swords that are being, furnaced away, ready to be quenched in oil or what have you, and it looks pretty good, doesn't it? These are all physical items. You can jump around on them. They have collision detection. We've got logs here that are presumably used to stoke the fire. We have a bucket of water here that's quenching some swords previously. We've got an anvil and lots of other bits and pieces. This heavily reminds me of Michael Cthulhu. That's somebody I watch on YouTube that makes swords, like loads of custom designs. His place basically looks exactly like this, if not slightly more messy. But I've always been fascinated with blacksmithing in real life. Maybe one day I'll get to try that out. As you can see then, we walk around here. The impact of the plot then is much smaller than some of the others. We have these sort of like steps that go up. As you can see on this side, my pond has gloriously clipped into that, and that's fine. We'll just deal with that for now. And we've got some more swords in buckets over here and bits and pieces. Another forge on this side with some brass ingots and iron ingots up there. And this forge seems to go all the way through. There seems to be like a hollowed out area inside there, as you can see, with daylight coming through the other side. We've got a grinding wheel over here. Good for smoothing off the swords, right, and buffing them up. But yeah, quite nice detail. And all of this is included as just one slot, isn't it? Just the housing slot itself. So they're getting more and more ambitious with what sort of items they're including with this, aren't they? I believe the cottage was reported to be at their maximum amount of items visible that was placed as part of a design. As you can see, my Heaven on High is glitched tremendously at the back there. I was using that to get on the previous roof. I'll have to move that. But we have this sort of platform up here. Of course, you can't place items on top of any of these surfaces, unfortunately, unless you glitch them. But of course, you know, that's up to your own prerogative. I don't think we're going to be able to jump up here in any way, shape or form. I think I'm probably wasting my time, but you get the idea. There is a roof up there. You would be able to glitch on top of that, you know, using jumping. Make your own jumping puzzles, basically. I'm just going to leave that to your imagination because my jumping ability is pretty weak. But yeah, it's not a bad looking house, is it? Let's zoom out with G-pose because we can get that fish-eyed sort of zoom, and then you can have a better look at the roof there. Solid roof, quite flat in places. If you could glitch furniture up there, then obviously you've got a nice place to store things, you know, like tables or whatever. But it's also a nice place to sit on. Yeah, I actually quite like this design quite a bit. It's all right, isn't it? So it'll be interesting to see how it compares to the large one. So let's go and have a look at that now. Right, and so we've swapped out the castle design for this one. As you can see, it's just a massive Tudor-styled house, isn't it, really? It's a lot less impactful on the environment than the Shirogane castle walls, but that's no surprise, really, considering the size of them, which is one of the main reasons I like them in the first place. But it'll be interesting to see how this looks. Again, expect some clipping and some floating, like I can easily see here, because we had a really large wall previously that the Odorota was glitched onto, but now it's just floating in midair. We have a tree in the middle of the walkway, but this is interesting, isn't it? We've actually got an upstairs balcony for this first floor, which is quite interesting. Unfortunately, we can't access the interior of the house via this balcony. There's no button for that, which is a great missed opportunity in my personal opinion when it comes to housing designs. Upstairs then we have some swords, a bench, a rack of swords and axes and partisans, a grinding disc there, some other swords, some ingots up here. So lots and bits of pieces, you know, ready to be forged into the next greatest relic weapon or something. I don't know. Or some basic gear for some alts or something. Nice pillars there. Lots of lovely windows, nice sized windows. They're not too oversized, unlike, you know, what we've seen previously with the florist cottage. If we go down here, as you can see, let's have a look from over here. You see, it's nice to have a raised platform because I'm so used to glitching things like this in the corner. Lots of people have done this to create like a deck area. So often you can't actually get to the balcony, so it's nice to have some stairs, honestly, leading up to them. I do like that. That's one of its biggest sort of pros to this. It does have its cons, though, as you'll see as we look around the side of it in just a second, but it is quite a nice looking house. So let's start over and look at all of those individual bits then. Let's move over here. We've got some of the forges, as you can see, glitching into the side there. Ignore that. So this is the first forge. We've got an anvil and another quenching bucket, more tools and pliers and a box of like coal or something. I'm not really sure what that is. Just a random box of textiles. Yeah, you'll notice that there is no stairs to this side though. Instead, we have see-through ladders that you can't use. This is a real big con for me, a big problem. If you're going to put stairs in the game, or like step ladders, make it so that we can use them. These oversized steps really bug me. It does mean that there's no conventional way onto that roof section of this balcony. There is a gap above. It's kind of disheartening, honestly. It looks good, the design does, but they're not able to actually use that and access that place, which, you know, you'll see in just a moment is an actual physical platform as well. Really rubs me sort of the wrong way. In terms of impact, then you'll notice that majority of the house actually has been cut back a bit to allow for these forges. We have these little steps instead. Lots of details though. Once again, maximizing all of those extra details on the sides of the house rather than just being a flat old house design like a lot of the older designs have. We got wood storage around the back, presumably for our furnace, and a barrel there. The walls themselves are much lower than the ones I'm used to. A lot less imposing. I'm not sure I like the walls personally. I don't think they're the biggest proponent of this. But yeah, we have these steps around the side. The wall would usually be here where I was jumping, but now we have it cut back to allow for these steps. My gardens here are glitched amazingly, but we'll just have to make do with that. Our target dummy is glitched into the bellows. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. But I don't really think I'm going to be sticking with this housing design for any length of time, so it doesn't necessarily matter too much. Lots of tools, lots of set pieces, and then not using up item placement, which is a really good thing. I wish there was a way of making it so that we could turn certain items into just permanently just backdrop items rather than item placement. I don't think 40 is nowhere near enough for a large. So as we're inside then, if we look over there, those are the ones that we've just put. Those are the false ones, but these are the real windows and doors. Nice sized doors, lots of light coming in through those barred windows, and the barred door there as well, looking pretty good. And as you can see, if we go upstairs towards the balcony entrance, it's pretty much the same sort of deal. We've got those barred doors, light coming in, which is really nice. But again, no usability of that door, even from the inside. Very disappointing in that way. That's where a lot of the housing designs get a negative score from me, simply because of that lack of usability. I think it would really add to the game and housing and RP in general, just in terms of flat out design, if we could actually use the things before us. So far, the lack of the ability to use the ladder annoys me, and so does the balcony. What I'm going to have to do then probably is glitch my way up here or do a jumping puzzle with a heaven on high or something. But there is all this stuff up here to go and show you. It is a physical place. So let's go and figure out a way of getting up there. There is plenty to look at, as you can see, as I'm messing around with my camera. It's just really unfortunate. You can't just have... You see, there's a platform up there as well that I'd like to eventually get to on top of the roof. You can't just have steps on one side and not have it on the other. They could have easily made a ramp on the side of the building for it. But thankfully, we've got some heaven on highs here, so let's whack one of those down. We'll get rid of the balloons, which I'll need to place in my inventory because we're running out of slots, even in storage. There isn't enough storage in the game either, I think you'll notice, which is kind of depressing. So let's plop a heaven on high down, and we'll jump up here. Yes, I'm going to force you to watch my terrible jumping activities, because I know that's exactly why you tuned into today's video, to watch me fail at jumping puzzles. Now we're going to, with the power of editing, I think we'll speed this along. So there we go. I've saved you some time. I hope you're appreciative of that. I failed quite a few times on that jump. But as you can see, it is a physical place. Like, it is a physical platform with physical rendered items up here. We've got, you know, more ingots and wood and a desk thing up here that you can, I don't know, a big box of, I don't know what that is in the corner. We've got lanterns here, a hammer. Yeah, I'm not really sure what that black box is. It looks like a box full of rubbish bins, but it's probably coal or something, or some other mineral. It looks like coal to me. Don't know. Not really sure what we're going with that. They're kind of weirdly sized bits of coal. There is a hole that goes down. You can drop down that again, so that's annoying. We've got some bellows here that I'd love to jump up and down on, like I was playing Medieval or something. Don't know how many people have played that and get that reference, but there we go. Got ourselves a forge, very big forge, and some barrels. But you'll see there's an invisible wall. Very annoying. So if you're like me and you like jumping around on things, well, you know, I'm a cat. What would you expect? I like to jump around and jump on top of houses There's been a recent patch with 5.5. They've made it so that there's a lot more collision detection. A lot of the houses are harder to get on top of now. That's not to say it's impossible to get on top of these. It's just incredibly annoying. And you have to think outside of the box with some Heaven on Highs and some other glitched items probably. But as you can see, I'm running against an invisible wall here. Very kind of disappointing, in my personal opinion, for something that very easily is begging to be jumped around on. As you can see, is, you know, let's show you zoomed out on G-pose here. There's so many platforms and levels up there. There is also like a grated platform. I'm not sure if you can see at the back of the house there, over there, that I would like to jump on top of. I've seen some pictures online of people stood on top of this, so I don't know. I think they've added like a height map and an invisible wall thing to prevent people from jumping on out of bounds areas. So unfortunately, it's kind of resulted in us not being able to jump on everything that we could prior to the patch, which is kind of disappointing. I know why they've done it, but it does impact quite a bit. And you'll notice that some of the housing placement, when you place stuff together, is a lot less forgiving. A lot of the stuff that we were doing previously with glitches to make cool looking things aren't actually that possible anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, so one of the other things we can do, of course, is we can change the color of the actual building itself. If we go to the paint exterior button, it looks kind of cool in some good colors. You can have this sort of white look, like kind of like it's snowy slates. You can have the nice black traditional slates. Those look really good. And of course, you can go ridiculous mode with some horrible colors as well. You'll notice that you can have a horrible cherry pink, which I'm sure somebody will say, that's not horrible, Meoni. I love that. I'm going to do that on my forge walls as well. I'm going to, oh, good. I'm glad I don't live near you then. Red's just as bad. The ruby red is just incredibly eye-popping. And here's a range of colours. The orange looked quite nice. Kind of give me that sort of autumnal viewpoint as we're looking at this. I like that, actually. Orange slates. I think those exist in real life. Kind of like pan tiles. And then we have horrible yellow. Honey yellow apparently goes full luminosity there. Like we've adjusted the contrast to 7,000%. The greens look pretty good. Can't go wrong with greens. Blues look alright. The turquoise isn't too bad. The dragoon blue is a little bit too vibrant. You notice that certain parts of curtain placement on that window up there dies as well, but it's mostly just the actual tiles themselves and not the mortar. Personally, I would have probably liked, I always like more dye options. What can I say? I'll never be happy. I'm always looking for that palette change. But yeah, it doesn't look as imposing from a distance. The side balcony thing annoys me that you can't just walk up there. That's a real negative point. I do like jumping around on houses, but the one on the front's pretty good, and I don't like the balcony. I think that's a wasted opportunity. But yeah, I don't know. I think I prefer the small more than I do the large. I'll likely end up using just the large plot as the Shirogane Castle walls. But I will say that the small plot probably is an improvement over the Florist. Now I think about it, there's lots of cool stuff. It's a shame that there isn't a balcony on the small plot. I would have liked there to be more balcony options and more jumpable things. Maybe a raised platform like we have on the front of a large. But it is what it is. And we get what we get, basically, at the end of the day. But let me know what you think about these house designs. Have you bitten the bullet? Maybe you've wanted to craft these, or maybe you've got the gil to sink into them. Hopefully this video has helped you with making those decisions, because I know a lot of people like to watch these videos and ascertain for themselves before they sink the gil in there. There's some things in the game you can housing preview and some things you really can't. And this is definitely one of those situations. So I spend the gil so that necessarily you don't have to. Much love. Let me know what you think below, and I'll see you all next time. If you want to check out more videos from 5.5 and onwards, check out the rest of the channel, or catch me live on twitch.tv/Meoni 4 days a week for more Final Fantasy goodness. Take it easy, and I'll see you all next time.